the world record for pole vault has crossed 20 feet. Now this is in the physical arena. In the case of inward growth as well, our inner urge pushes us to become better, to keep on improving. Now we all know the first two men who scaled Mount Everest. Who were they? Edmund Hillary and Sherpa Tenzing. Now that was in the year 1953. What most people don't know is that Edmund Hillary made an attempt on Mount Everest in 1952 as well. And he failed. The British Mountaineering Association came to know of his effort trying to climb Mount Everest. So they arranged a meeting and they invited him to it as the chief guest. On the dais was a picture of Mount Everest. So Edmund Hillary was invited to speak. He went up to the picture of Everest and showed it his fist and said, "Mount Everest, you defeated me last year. This year I will defeat you because you have stopped growing while I am still growing." So this urge to grow, to improve, to become better, to perform better, to feel better. How do we fulfill it? How do we utilize it? How do we bring about a change in our lives? Many times people strive to change, but they fail. You go for motivational lectures, which have become so common nowadays in India, right? And you become very inspired, yes, yes, yes. But you try it for a little while, and then say, "Humse to nahi hoga," and people give up. However, there are such cases of people who truly transform them. Ayush, there are cases of people who have truly transformed themselves. I will give you the incident of Saint Tulsidas. Tulsidas was extremely attached to worldly things. In particular, he was infatuated by his wife. As the saying goes in Hindi, "Joru ka gulam." Once his wife had gone to her Maika, parents' home. So Tulsidas was unable to bear the separation. He said, "I need to meet her tonight itself." He got out of his home and it was raining terribly. He said, "Never mind, I don't mind getting drenched." He continued until he reached the river that was on the way to his wife's parents' home. On that particular night, no boat was willing to go across. So he found a log that was floating by. He grabbed the log and he swam across. When he reached the other bank, the proper thing would have been to knock on the main door. After all, he was the son-in-law, Dama. He had the full right to go and meet his wife. However, he was so enamored, so eager, that he did not want to waste any time. He found a rope hanging from the top floor where his wife would have been. He grabbed the rope and climbed up and jumped in through the window. It was night time. His wife suddenly found her husband jumping into her room. She was shocked. She said, "Patidev, where have you come from?" He said, "I have come through the night, through the rain, because I love you so much." The wife said, "But how did you cross the river on this particular storm?" He said, "I was so lucky, there was a log floating by." She peeped out of the window and realized there was no log, it was a dead body. She said, my, you mistook a dead body for a log. And how did you climb up? Tulsidas said, "You were so kind. You understood that I may come to meet you and you hung a rope from your window for my sake." She said, "I hung no rope, what are you talking about?" She peeped out of the window and there was a snake that went slithering by. Now she burst upon her husband. She said, "You are so infatuated by material beauty that you mistook a dead body for a log and a snake for a piece of rope. If this much of love you had for the Supreme Lord, you would have become God realized many times over." That statement of the wife hit Tulsidas so hard that he did an about turn. He walked away from there and became one of the greatest devotees of Lord Ram in history. And he wrote the Valmiki Ramayana in simple Hindi, which has become so famous all over the world. It is full of knowledge, full of devotion, full of literary tools. Here is the instance of one person who transformed his life from the lowest wretchedness to sublime heights. Let us analyze what brought about this change in Tulsidas. Maybe it will help us in our own journey. There was one nodal point to it all, and that was the decision that he made. Enough is enough. No more of this. I need to transform. It is these decisions that make all the difference in our lives. Think about it. 15 years ago, where were you? We have so many youngsters here. Go back 15 years ago, and then you made certain decisions, whether to become an engineer or a doctor or an accountant, whether to do business or to do service, whether to get married or not to do so. These decisions that you made brought you to where you are today. And the decisions you make today will lead you to where you will be 15 years from today. In other words, the flow and direction of our life is determined by these decisions that we keep making. Some decisions can be changed. You purchased the wrong house and you sold it off. Some decisions you cannot change, you can only regret. There was, when I was young, a comedian called Jerry Lewis. Somebody has heard the name of Jerry Lewis? So this Jerry Lewis He said the best gift that I received in my life was a movie of my marriage. In those days, there were those cinematography movies, with all these slides, and they had to be moved like this. So he said that is the best gift that I got, because when I get fed up of my marriage, I play it in the reverse direction and I feel I'm getting liberated from marriage. Now he was laughing away a decision that he could not change. In other words, there are varieties of decisions. However, if we wish to transform ourselves, to improve the quality of our life, to enrich ourselves with wonderful qualities from within, we need to harness the power of decision making. Just decide, like Tulsidas did, today will be the day when I'll begin this process of self-transformation. I will no longer compromise with myself. I will live my life to my highest ideals. You may say, Swamiji, is it so simple? I just decide and it happens? Not really. The intensity of the decision is very important. There is one kind of wishy-washy decision. Like somebody said, it is not difficult to give up drinking. I give up drinking every day, but then I start again. There is that kind of decision. And there is another kind of decision. There was Alexander, when he was conquering and coming all the way to India. When along with his army he would land on a new shore, he would burn the boats and say, we are here now, either we succeed or we die. It was a commitment. So if you wish to succeed in the journey of self-transformation, you need to make a decision and commit yourself to it. That is the intensity. You may have heard of the wise old man from Greece called Socrates. Socrates was once asked by somebody, what is required to improve the quality of our life, to improve ourselves as human beings? What is necessary? Socrates said, let's go and take a bath. The man said, I'm not talking about cleaning ourselves from the outside. I'm talking about improvement from inside. Socrates said, come, we will discuss it in the stream. He took the man for a bath in the river. When they both went into the water, this man ducked his head in and Socrates held it from above. Now with the head under the water, after 30 seconds, he was feeling suffocated, but Socrates was holding tight. He had the advantage of the higher position. After 45 seconds, this man thought, I'm going to die now. After 1 minute, Socrates released his head and he came out. Socrates said, how are you feeling? The man said, sir, if you had kept me inside for 1 more second, my life airs would have left my body. Socrates said, that is the answer to your question. When will you start changing in life? When you feel that if I don't change, my life is worse than death. When you develop such a strong inspiration, you will then make a committed decision. So, this is the power of decision making. By virtue of the decisions we made, we have reached a certain stage in life. After all, you are attending this program here today. You made a decision. Should I go? Well, this Hyderabad traffic, but he may say something that will help me. Oh, well, I had something else to do, but this is also important. All right, chalo, let me decide to go. Those who decided are here. There are others who thought of going, but decided not to. So these decisions that we keep on making, the world throws us with a variety of options. And we have to keep on choosing. Should I get up at 6 o'clock or should I get up at 6:30 in the morning? Should I eat so much of chapatis or should I eat so much of chapatis? All the time the choices are there. How do we improve the quality of our decisions? If decisions are so important, then what is the means of enhancing our decision-making ability? Let's try and understand this. Many of you are engineers, and I am also an engineer. How many of you are engineers? Can you please lift your hand? Right. So we have this in common. When I go to America, people say, Swamiji, after becoming an engineer, you became a Swamiji. How is your engineering being used? I say, look, I know exactly how engineers think. They want everything in equations and models and airtight logic. And that is how I also think. So I am able to explain this wonderful knowledge in the manner that engineers can understand. It is possible that God thought there is need for an engineer Swamiji to explain to all the engineers. So we will discuss in a very logical manner. We have discussed the importance of decision making. So how to improve the quality of our decision making? Our decisions are based upon the values that we hold within ourselves. We all have different values. How much do you value your career? How much do you value your family life? How much do you value your health? How much do you value your social life? How much do you value your own spiritual enrichment? There are all these things, and our intellect accords importance to them. This is so important, this is so important. In America, I came across a term called golf widow. Have you ever heard of a golf widow? So golf widow is a lady whose husband is crazy after golf. The unfortunate lady is called a golf widow. I said in America, in India, we have got cricket widows. So that means the intellect says golf is 80% important. And then career and family and other things. But we have accorded different values to different things. And these values determine the decisions we will make. If there is an option, family or career, your value will determine what you choose. Let me share with you a very touching story. There was an actual widow lady who was also blind. She had a teenage daughter. They were living by the ocean side. The daughter was illiterate. They had no means of sustaining themselves of livelihood. The daughter only knew one thing, to dive into the ocean. So every morning she would go to dive in and try and find precious stones on the seabed and bring them back. She would then sell them in the market, and the money she would get from the sale of precious stones would result in the daughter and her widowed mother sustaining themselves. However, one morning, this teenage daughter went to the ocean, and at night she did not return. By next morning also she was not back, and by next night also she had not returned. When 48 hours went by, the blind mother realized that my worst fear must have happened. She probably dived and drowned in that ocean of water. 2 more days went by, and slowly all the necessities at home started getting finished. Finally, the mother was hungry. So she remembered that my daughter used to collect some precious stones in a jewel box. She groped her way to the jewel box and realized that there are some shiny, polished objects here. She took the box to the market and showed it to the nearest jeweler and explained her problem. Sir, I am in deep trouble. My daughter has drowned. I have no means of survival except this little box with its contents. Can you please purchase it for 50,000 rupees? I will be able to live for 2 years on that. The jeweler looked at it and he was astonished. There were invaluable precious stones. He said, Mother, I don't have the wealth to purchase this. Give me 10 days time. I will contact the Jewelers Association of our bazaar, and together we will put the fund to purchase it, because we can definitely make money out of it. For now, I am giving you 5,000. Go and utilize it.